right, we are a go. What's going on, Coach Launcher Group? Welcome to the week of insanity. It's not really insane. I guess it could be. That's really all going to depend upon you. So we're kicking off just a massive in-depth blitz of sharing with you what has worked for me, what does work for me, what I do with my clients. And the hope is that it absolutely changes the way you launch your coaching business, or if you've already launched, how you grow your coaching business. And I see we have one comment already, and I cannot see the comments. So bear with me just for a moment while I open up another window, and then we're going to get going. We are going to roll. And I don't know why Facebook does this sometimes. There are just some things I don't know. So stick with me. Patrick, loud and clear. All right, that's what I wanted to know. Okay, cool. So Patrick's here. We've got Tommy here. We've got Kyle. Hey, do me a favor if you're watching. Okay, this is just how this is going to roll, and it's for a really good reason. If you're live and you're watching right now, drop a comment saying I'm here, or good morning, or good to see you. This allows me to know who's here, know who's participating. Here's what it does for you. And this is going to be part of what is the unfair advantage. Okay? The more you interact, the more you will learn, the more you will remember. This is just how our brains work. You know this. If you're worth anything as a coach, you understand that the more you participate, the more you will make personal the things you are hearing. The more you make it personal, the more it vibrates in your head and in your body. The more you interact, the more little things like heart, wow. Repeating back what I'm saying, asking really good questions. We are going to dive in this morning to the most unfair advantage that you can possibly have, not just for your coaching business, but for your life. I would say more than anything, this is what has differentiated between me wanting to be a coach and becoming a successful coach. Dory, hi. Kat Blake is in the house. Kyle, what's going on, brother? Tommy, nice to meet you. I think we just met yesterday. Was it Carrie who tagged you? I cannot remember for the life of me. But yeah, anyways. Good to have you here. Diego, good to have you here. Richard, what's going on, man? Hope you are feeling so much better, brother. Phyllis, good morning. So yeah, all week long during these trainings, the more you interact, the more you say hello, the more you start asking questions. When you ask a question, we're going to dive into this, it changes everything for your life and for your business. And yeah, it's not, I don't care. The likes don't do anything for my ego. They used to. I used to actually pay for likes on my business page because I didn't know what I was doing. Now I know it just doesn't matter at all. So in terms of delivering for clients, so I want to just start and lay out a basic principle that should go for your coaching business. And then I'm going to dive into the unfair advantage, and they are related. Becca, that's right. Becca, thanks, Tommy. I appreciate it. So there is a little bit of a lag here, but if you ask a question, I'm going to answer it. So here's the thing about everything I'm going to teach, and I will hold nothing back. If you ask the right questions, I will answer everything. I will answer every one of your questions, and I will not keep anything from you. Okay? Here's a basic principle for everything you're about to learn. It's the underlying foundational. What's going on, Brian? What's up, brother? Looking forward to our meeting tomorrow, man. Underlying principle for your coaching business. None of what I share with you will work if you don't apply this principle. If you aren't going to apply what I'm about to tell you, you might as well stop watching, save yourself some time, and work for somebody else the rest of your life. There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you want to have a coaching business, then you've got to get this. You've got to internalize it. If you have struggles with this, you've got to work through it, okay? You have to care more for your potential clients and your current clients than anybody else could. Care more about helping your potential clients and your clients, care more for them than anybody else will. If you don't care about helping people, if you don't want the best for people, none of what I'm going to be showing you this week is going to work. It just won't. It just doesn't work. If you want the, 90 days to 7 figures, go somewhere else. That's a joke. That's a total joke. But if you're here because you want to make an impact in the world, you want to change people's lives, you want to help transform people's lives through your coaching, you want more freedom, you want to learn how to understand and have a healthy relationship with money, in the sense that when you go and do a deep dive and help somebody long term, that they should pay you for that. They should make that investment in themselves. I'll be talking about that at 2. If that's something you want, deep impact and freedom, then you are going to have to care more for your potential clients and your current clients than anyone else in the world. I've got a sign right here written in marker, and it's about 5 years old. But when I first started, I don't do this as much anymore. When I first started coaching, the wall in front of my office, which was my office, was also my bedroom, was also my 2 little girls' bedroom. They were, what were they, 3 and 2 and 4. Wow. They were 2 and 4 at the time. And I lived off of the back of my buddy Mark Brown's house. Just recently divorced, moved over to Richmond. And I was actually going through the divorce, moved over here to Richmond. And he was like, dude, you can stay here. I'll charge you like $300 a month or whatever. And I was like, I'm going to launch my coaching business and I'm going to live. It was awesome. I can't even I'll tell you this afternoon how awesome it was. You wouldn't think it, but it was incredible. It was so incredible. This sign's been sitting here, and I used to have a bunch of signs in front of my desk. This one I still keep here. Care more about your clients and your potential clients than anyone else ever would. That's what the sign says. None of this will work if you don't do that. Are you with me? Do you get that? If you get that, hit a like and say, I totally get that. That makes sense. If you have any questions about that, ask, because we are about to dive into what I call the unfair advantage for your coaching business. There's a little bit of a lag, so I'm going to wait just a second. What's going on, Lori? Jacob, what's up, brother? Nick is in the house. Michael, how are you doing? Hitting my green juice. I used to use a Breville and just juice stuff. Now I go Vitamix all the way, mostly because Vitamix is self-cleaning. I used to pull this juicer apart every day and scour the filter and the blade, wash the blades. Oh my gosh. Plus I like the pulp, Got it. All right. Beautiful. It's fantastic. And then you wash it down with a little water. Then you back that up with coffee. I'm a big fan of hydration, in case you haven't noticed. Jeff, what's going on, man? Carrie, okay, awesome. Carrie, good to see you too. The unfair advantage. Here it is. I'll set this up here in case I have to write. So this week, I said here it is, and now I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this week. Sometimes I'll be going live with Zoom, so I can actually pull some of you on. In fact, I'll be doing this afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Zoom. We're going to do mindset. We're going to talk about the biggest difference. Okay. So this one, I didn't want the lag. I wanted to be able to interact quickly. I'll even put the Zoom link in here so that you can drop into the actual Zoom meeting. Then there will be zero lag. What is the unfair advantage for your coaching business? Asking high quality questions. I know it's not sexy, is it? It's not sexy at all. But asking high quality questions is the biggest unfair advantage you can have in your life and in your coaching business. And if you don't believe me, and if that doesn't sound sexy enough for you, then maybe you're done. Carrie, yes, Zoom will be recorded. I haven't figured out what I'm doing. For this week, I will leave all the replays up in here for this week, for sure. After that, I might lock them in a membership portal and charge for these trainings. I haven't decided at all, but that's actually a pretty good idea. All right, so here we go. The quality of your life and the quality of your business is in direct proportion to the quality of the questions that you ask. I'm going to say that again. The quality of your life and the quality of your business are in direct proportion to the quality of the questions that you ask. Here's what I mean. It's two different levels here. Okay, let's go with the first level. Let's just go with some straight up life coaching, all right? If you ask yourself a question, your brain is going to kick into high gear to try to answer that question. And your brain will continue to come up with an answer until you acknowledge that it's been answered, the question's been answered. And then when you do, those synapses stop firing in that moment and capture it and say, yes, this is the answer. And then anytime that question comes up again, even in the back of your head, your brain is automatically going to fire that neural network pathway and give you the thought to that answer. Why does this matter? Well, is this making sense so far? Is this making sense so far? That the quality of your life and business is in direct proportion to the quality of your questions. Let me know if this is making sense. And then we're gonna break it all down. This is just level one. This is the first level of questions. Maria, what's going on? I'll give you a basic example, then I'll give you a personal example. You are going to find out more about my life than anybody really wants to know, right? But this is how I teach. Carly, what's going on? All right, great. So if your brain is always trying to answer questions, it becomes critical that you ask the right questions. Okay, so what happens if you ask this question? Why can't I ever find clients? It's a terrible question. Why can't I ever find clients? Terrible question. Why? Because your brain is going to start to answer that, and your brain's going to come up with your brain's going to throw out so many ideas. Oh, because you're terrible at this, because you don't know anything about business, because you don't know anything about marketing. This is all your brain. Because you're broken, because you've never been successful, because you can't do this because you don't have what it takes, because you aren't enough. This is your brain. And then you're like, you feel terrible. And so you shut it down and you walk away from that question, but your brain doesn't stop trying to answer the question. Your brain will always answer the questions that you ask. So if you walk away, it's just going to ask them on a subconscious level over and 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 over. That's a terrible question. A better question, instead of asking, why can't I ever find clients? A better question, what do I have to do to make an impact in people's lives in such a great way that they want to work with me? Oh my gosh, that's a better question. Can you see the difference in the quality of the question? Because now your brain's going to try to answer that question. What do I have to do to make a big enough impact in people's lives that they have to work with me? You're going to, you know what? What if I just start sharing my knowledge? What if I start having conversations with people? What if I start a podcast? What if I start a blog? What if I start posting on my social media? What if I go out to a coffee shop and offer up free coaching sessions? All right. I'm not saying that those are the answers, but what I am saying is your brain is then going to start trying to answer that question instead of being stuck on answering the question of why can't I find clients and then giving you the answers that you're used to, like because you're no good at this, because you aren't very good at business, because you don't have what it takes, because you're not good enough, because you're not smart, because you're not charismatic enough, because you don't know enough. But if you ask, what will I have to do to make such an impact in people's lives that they want to hire me, then your brain will start answering that question. I'll give you another. Does this make sense? You understand what I'm talking about when it comes to questions. Don't overlook this. This is the unfair advantage for sure. Kyle asks, is it safe to say that a bad question will force you to connect more unrelated dots, building even more barriers? That's safe to say, Kyle. I would definitely say that. Yes, that's safe to say. Does this make sense? This is just the first level. I'm going to share with you the second level. You have to excuse me. I've got stuff in my throat. All right. That's the first level. I'm going to give you another example of it. I'm going to go super personal. When my divorce happened, I started asking myself this question: what's wrong with me that she wanted to leave? That's a fair question. I thought it was a fair question. I was just asking myself, what's wrong with me that she wants to leave? And so my brain, instead of saying nothing, maybe that's all her, my brain started answering. You're ugly. You're fat. You're boring. You don't have much depth. You're not very smart. You're not very fun. You're broken. Very personal things my brain, would start to say. You're no good with intimacy. You've never been able to have a long, deep, sustained, successful relationship. I mean, my brain just went off on me for days. A friend of mine helped me reset. I literally was just called him and I was just bawling. I was just weeping like, dude, what's so much that I'm so screwed in life. There are so many things wrong with me. And fortunately, he's one of the smartest people I know. So he knew what was going on and he walked me through it. Does this make sense? Here's a better question. And here's the question I started asking myself. What do I have to do to move on and have a better life than I've ever had before? That's the question I replaced what's wrong with me that she left me with what do I have to do to move forward and have a better life than ever before. You see how that's a better question? Does that make sense? What does this mean for you? What does this mean for your coaching business? Why don't you put in the questions you've been asking that you might be realizing right now are lower quality questions? And I will right now help you come up with higher quality questions. If you've got the courage to do that, if you've got the courage to show up right now and interact, I will help you. What's going on, Art? Anybody recognize that they've been asking themselves low quality questions? We're still on the first level of questions. I've got one more point to drive home that is going to change your interactions here today and hopefully for the rest of your life, and raise the quality of your life and raise the quality of your business, and hopefully grow your business and open doors you never thought could possibly open for you. Yes, I am that confident. I believe that. So let me know. Brian, beautiful. Why do I get distracted so easily? Oh, all right. Let me throw out a couple now. Part of this game of managing what goes on between here and what goes on in here is to always introduce a little bit of playfulness. And Brian, if you can stand up and do comedy, I hope that went well yesterday, man. I wish I could have been there. Then you can get playful. So, Brian, let's go with yours. Thank you. First of all, I see 3 questions right now. Beautiful. I'm almost 4. I'm so freaking stoked for you. I'm so stoked for you. How about this? Here's a question. Could my easily distracted brain be my superpower? Or how could the fact that I get easily distracted actually be a superpower? That's one question. Another question is, how do I take this easily distracted syndrome and turn it into a strength? It's another question. Here's another question. Is it true that I get easily distracted? Okay, this is 10 seconds of thinking of questions, but already you try to answer those 3 questions, Brian, and you stop trying to answer, why do I get distracted so easily? Because then it's just a battle. Not only are you trying to answer the wrong question, your brain will throw, I don't know what your brain tells you. I bet if you shared it with us, we'd all go, oh yeah, I've thought that before. But you will shut down answering that question. And if you try to answer those other 3 questions, it will change everything. Because then your brain will literally be like, oh, I have a superpower? Okay, well, how is this my superpower? Maybe I notice things that no one else will ever notice. You apply that to potential clients, game over. You win every time because you will notice things that will help them that no one else will notice. Let me know, folks, if this is making sense. Lanita, I never thought about my questions being low quality. Great perspective. Okay, thank you very much. Take that, run with it. Start thinking about what are the low quality questions you're asking. Kat, why won't anybody agree to pay my full coaching package fee? I love it. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for your honesty. Okay. Your answer is absolutely in that question, right? You're presupposing already that nobody will ever. Why won't anybody agree to pay my full coaching package fee? You're presupposing in that question that it will never happen. Why won't they? Because you're no good, because you're not good enough, because your quality of coaching isn't good enough, because you're not a good enough therapist, because, right? Or because everybody who's getting divorced is poor, or, all these questions or all these answers that will come up. A better question for you, instead of why won't anybody agree to pay my full coaching package fee would be, let's use this for example. What do I have to demonstrate what do I have to demonstrate, and how do I deliver for potential clients in a way that they want to pay the full coaching package fee? How do I deliver, and what kind of impact do I need to make in a potential client's life so that they want to pay the full coaching package fee? That's just one to start, right? Everybody isn't poor, and we're going to talk about that, right? What do I have to do to help people understand that they need to make coaching and an investment in coaching a priority? That's another great question. Kyle, working on this, but how do you develop these high quality questions for the millions of different situations? It's just a practice. It's just a practice. It's like fitness. Okay. So for example, if I go to the gym and I work out really hard for like 2 hours, like you're working out right now, being on this live training, working out your brain right now, you know, the exercise of asking higher quality questions. If I go to the gym for 2 hours today and I pump hard, right? And it's the first time I've been into the gym, and I get up tomorrow and I expect for my biceps to be bulging, I'm an idiot. Doesn't work that way. I've got to get up and go work another part of my body. And then on the third day, get up and work a different part of my body. And then on the fourth day, get up and go back and work my biceps again. Then I need to take a day off to rest and recoup. And then I need to go back into the gym and start all over. Where I'm talking about emotional, mental fitness. It has to be consistent. It has to be done over and 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 over again. Does that make sense, Kyle? Yes, that's great, Kat. See, already you're getting answers. Phyllis, what do I need to do so that people will find me and want to work with me? That's a great question. That's a great question. That's a high quality question. Nick, absolutely. 2 creations, right? There's always, something always happens twice. I love it. 1, when you think about it, and 2, when you do it. All right. Now let's move on. Stick with that today. Catch yourself asking poor questions. Stop. Just say, how do I turn this into a better question? I'll give you an example. I'll give you one more example. Again, with my divorce. Probably when I really got down to it, the biggest thing that I hated about my divorce was I wanted to tuck my daughters in every night and wake them up every morning. And now that was not going to be a reality. I did not know how to come to grips with that. This is just real, raw stuff. I didn't know. And you know, if you've been in this group for more than a day, my daughters are everything. So the question I started asking myself, that saved my life, this question. How do I pack more intentionality and purpose in the time I do get to spend with my daughters so that it's higher quality time and I have a better relationship with them than if I lived with them every day? My brain went off trying to answer that. We started so many crazy traditions in the single dad household with my daughters just so I could have a higher quality of life with them. And it comes from a question. How do I be more intentional and more purposeful about the limited time I have with my daughters? And it's not terribly limited now. I have them like 70% of the time. But at the time, I was like, you know, am I going to see my daughters? How's that going to work out in court? All that jazz, right? So how do I be more intentional and more purposeful to have a higher quality time with my daughters so that we have a better relationship than if we were living together all the time? How can I make myself the best version of me so that others can't help but benefit from the person that I am and the things that I offer? Sorry if that was loud, but Nick, that's a great question. Yes, Art, that was it. That was the key for me. Okay. Level number 2 when it comes to questions. If the first one was more about life coaching, this is definitely about your business. But this is just a general principle. The questions that you ask other people will open doors you didn't know existed. The questions you ask other people will open doors you didn't know existed. So what do I mean by that? Well, first of all, let's take this for example. Us. There are things I know and things I do that you may not know or you may not do, or attitudes I have that you may not have. And that is the difference between being in business for a long time and having it be really successful. And I mean that on both levels, financial freedom, and I'm fulfilled by what I do. So if you never ask me a question all week long, no doors will open for you. If you're afraid to ask a question because you're afraid of how you'll look or what people will think, or they'll think that you aren't as high a quality as a coach as you are in this group, 0 doors will open for you. They just won't. You can come and you can listen to what I say and you can try to put it into practice. But if you ask questions, the real magic happens. If you ask me questions, the real magic happens. Sometimes it starts with maybe a low quality question. Here's a low quality question everyone asks, but you have to. I get it. This is where you start. Where do I find clients and how do I get them? Now, I am glad that people ask that, because if they didn't, I couldn't lead them to a better question. But where do I find clients and how do I get them is like, that's a question like fishing, you know? And what do you do with fish? Like, it's like, hey, where do I find fish and how do I reel them in, right? Well, here's the problem with that. You're treating people like fish. And what do you do with fish when you're fishing? Most of the time, you either put them on the wall stuffed or you eat them. And I've said this before, but that's just gross to do with a person. Okay? We don't believe in cannibalism. We don't believe in stuffing and mounting people on our wall. Okay? So, but that's still, to ask that question is critical, because that question will lead you to a better question, will lead you to better. Well, then how should I look at potential clients? Oh, well, that is a really good question, right? The questions I've asked people who were further along than I was, I'll say it that way, opened so many doors for me. And here's what you find. This is true. The more successful people are, the more willing they are to help you. It's absolutely true. The more successful people are, the more willing they are to actually help you, because they've already figured out. They don't have a scarcity mindset. Some of you are in here right now and you're glad to be in here and you're glad to be learning what you're going to be learning all week, and you're going to learn it. I'm going to give you everything, but you're still looking at the other people in this group and thinking that the other people in this group are your competition. And they aren't. They aren't. That's a scarcity mindset. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about scarcity mindset later on this afternoon. Okay? But these people aren't your... Carrie, I love that. That's awesome. I expect that from you. That's so fantastic. People are delicious. I love that way of looking at life. I love it. So what kind of questions are you going to ask? Well, you show up this week and ask questions. And then will you do the work to ask a better question? I don't know how familiar you are with different teaching methods. One teaching method is called rabbinical dialogue. Rabbinical dialogue. Yes, it comes from the Hebrew traditions. And this is where a rabbi would say to his talmid, his student, would ask the student a question. And that dialogue goes back and forth until someone runs out of a question. Well, what does that matter? It matters a lot. Because when you can have a conversation in questions, it proves and demonstrates, the Talmud, the student would then demonstrate to their rabbi, I understand your question, and I have such a mastery of the answer that I'm going to turn around and ask you a question, and in that question, I will demonstrate that I know the answer, and we'll keep this conversation going. So the rabbi would ask a question, and the Talmud would ask a question back, demonstrating. So then the rabbi answers that question in their head and asks another question back and demonstrates that they know the answer, and now they're carrying the question one step further. It's brilliant. Asking questions here this week could be the difference between your coaching success and your coaching business succeeding and not succeeding. So show up and ask questions. There are questions you should be asking. The questions that you should be asking me, there are plenty of them. And if you don't start asking them this week, I will then tell you what they are. What's the word for mindset we do want? Abundance. Tamara, that's okay. Tamara, that's a great question, right? Look at Tamara showing up, asking a question. Okay, I wasn't going to answer that. I moved on. But Tamara, that answer is abundance. That's the difference. A scarcity mindset means there isn't enough. Abundance means there will always be enough. And you can't lack. Lack comes from scarcity. You can't lack your way to abundance. You can't. It's like trying to eat cheeseburgers on your way to health. Just can't be done. Right? Your mindset isn't fixed. We're going to jump into this afternoon. All right. So, 2 levels. 1, ask higher quality questions. 2, ask higher quality questions of yourself. Level 2, ask quality questions to people who can help you. Ask them the questions. What are your top 3 questions? Tell me what you mean, Carrie, and I will give you an answer. The top 3 questions I get asked, the top 3 questions that I ask myself. The top 3 questions I ask other people. I'm just not sure what you mean, so I'm asking you a question back. And then I'll get you your answer. Does this make sense? This is the unfair advantage. I know. Question asking isn't sexy. Right? It's just not. And we've been going for, I don't know how long we've been going for. Can't see it anywhere. Welcome in, Claire. When you first meet someone, I either ask them, I ask them their name, like just being like very basic. I ask them their name. I ask them, sometimes I'll ask them, what do you do for your passion? What do you love doing? How do you pay the bills? I'm different, Carrie. I think you probably know this from some of our encounters. I'm very different. Some people don't like me because I'll go deep quick. But here's 3 questions that I ask people who are further ahead of me. For example, you could ask them. I learned this from Steve Sims. He wrote the book Blue Fishing. It's an incredible book, right? But I asked him, I said, Steve, like, what's the best question that you ask? That was my question, just like you, Carrie. 38 minutes. Wow. Time flies. We're definitely wrapping up in 15 minutes because I've got a meeting with my buddy Mike. One question I ask people, to me, this is like a critical question. Instead of, let's take Steve Sims, for example. Okay, we're not best friends. I know him. We talk. Brilliant. He hangs out with Elton John. He hangs out with the Pope. He's like a concierge for the world. If there's something insane that you don't think can be done, but you want to do it, he's the guy you call, and he'll figure out a way to make it happen. You want to be lead singer with Journey for 20 minutes, a half hour, he'll make it happen. Seriously, read his book. So this is what he told me. Don't ask, like if I was to go to him and I was like, hey, Steve, can I come out to your house and interview you for a day? That'd be me getting a chance to ask him a bunch of questions. Well, that'd be awesome. I would learn so much. If I ask him that, he can say yes or no, right? Yes or no. But if I ask him, hey, Steve, what would I have to do to convince you to let me come to your house and ask you questions for a day? That's a way better question. That question opens doors that are insane. Does that make sense? Because now he's not thinking yes or no. He's thinking, well, what would Brad have to do? Maybe he says, give me $10,000. Well, I've got an answer to my question, and I know now how to interview a bestseller. 10 grand. That's easy. You might say, well, I don't have 10, but it's only money. Money's money. You can get money. I can get 5 credit cards. I can get 5 credit cards and put $2,000 on each of them and give that to Steve, and then go interview him, and then take those questions and develop a program and make 10 times that. Apply that to all my coaching, raise my prices, and make 100 times that. Does that make sense? I know that doesn't answer your question fully. What are the top 3 questions? Here's what I like to ask people. I ask them what they do, because I want to know if they say something and it isn't their passion. Like, I'm just going to throw out something I always throw out. I use this as an example. I manage Walmart. Well, some people, that's their passion. They would love to manage Walmart. And I think it's awesome that they're doing what they love to do. Okay? That's awesome. That's great. So good for them. But I want to find out what they love about it. So I'd say, hey, what do you do? Oh, I manage Walmart. What do you love about it? And then they're going to answer that question. They're going to say, oh, I love managing people. I love the people I work with. I love when someone walks into the store and they ask me a question, and I take them to the part of the store and I tell them all, and I help them make a wise decision of a purchase. That's awesome. Or if they say, I love nothing. I hate it. I can't stand it. I want to get out. Now I know the answer to my second question. But my second question is always this. If I ask them, what do you love about it? Then I ask them, well, what do you find challenging, or what do you struggle with about that? Or what about that is challenging to you right now? Then they answer that. Okay. And then I might ask them, well, how long have you been feeling this way? How long have you been struggling with that? That gives me a really good idea of who they are, where they're at, what they want. Like right now. Does that make sense, Carrie? What do you like to do in your spare time? I like that too. Brian says, that's really good. Thank you, brother. Art says, what would I have to do to have you let me help you? What would I have to do to have you? That's a good question. It's a good question. Also, if you're asking questions, let's go to, asking questions of me. Let's go to asking questions of clients. If you say this, do you need a coach to help you? If you say that to a potential client, I almost guarantee you they're going to say no. Not because that's the real answer, but because they're afraid to pay you money. They're afraid to invest in themselves. We're going to talk about that this afternoon. We're going to get ready to wrap up. It's a good place to wrap up, because this afternoon we're going to talk about mindset. We're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about the way you view yourself. We're going to talk about the way you view your clients. We're going to talk about the way you view potential people. We're going to talk about one of the biggest killers in your coaching business. And I'll just give you a little insight. One of the biggest killers for your coaching business will be wanting people to like you. I'm going live in 2 more hours and 12 minutes. It'll be Zoom, and I'll still broadcast it live into Facebook. Okay, so I'll post the Zoom link. You can either come in and chat there, or because there'll be no delay, or you can just watch the live on Facebook. I will have my big iMac right here. I will have my laptop, my MacBook Pro here. I will have my iPad. I will have my iPhone. I'll be able to track everything. We're going to dive deep into mindset. It's the biggest difference. I'm going to tell you the biggest difference. This is the unfair advantage, asking questions. I'm going to tell you the biggest difference in your actual coaching, in the coaching, not just the business, but in how you coach people. I'm going to share with you the biggest difference between you and everybody else. And if you get this, and if you get the mindset stuff that we're talking about this afternoon, it's awesome. So here's your homework. Here's your homework between now and 2 p.m. Eastern time. Here's your homework. Come up with some really good questions to ask me. Come up with some better questions to ask yourself. Questions that when your brain goes to answer it, it leads you to magical places, right? The questions you ask of yourself that are higher quality will lead you to magical places. The questions you ask of other people who may be further ahead of you on one particular journey will open doors that will lead you to places you never dreamed of for yourself. It has for me. So start implementing this right now. If we do this whole session and then you just go back to work, or you go back to what you're doing, if you don't start changing the way you think and changing the way you ask questions, why are we doing this? Right? So let's implement, right? And I'm saying, that's why I said further ahead along on one part of your journey. There are places where you are all farther ahead of me in life. Absolutely. Kat Blake, you are further ahead of me in fitness and in health. You are. You're a machine. You go all the time and you train people all the time, right? You're farther ahead of me. So, Carly, there's probably places where you're farther ahead of me. Same thing for you, Jeff and Lori and Art. And Art, you know more about environmental, ecological issues. You've probably forgotten more than I will ever know, right? So if I have questions about that, you're the person I can go to. All right. Stefania, you're welcome. It's at 2 o'clock Eastern time, okay? I have pinned at the top of this group announcements, the tentative times. Now, if I don't go on when I say I'm going to go on, I am really sorry. I will try to give you a heads up, all right? But I, have clients for sure that I got to take care of them first. They made the investment in themselves. I'm going to make the investment in them. So if I have to change a time, I'll let you know. But right now, all the tentative times are pinned as an announcement at the top of the group. Zumba away. I love to dance. So that's great. I'll do that. 67-hour endurance events are my specialty. Beautiful, beautiful. Stefania, am I pronouncing that right? Stefania? Forgive me if I mispronounced that, but can you tell me if I'm pronouncing that right? So from now on, for the rest of our lives together in this group, I can say your name properly. I just want to make sure I'm doing that right. Lori, you're welcome. Good, good, great, Carly. That's awesome. Kyle, you said, what did you say here? Want people to like you? Yeah, it's not for everyone, but if you're a recovering people pleaser like me, that'll sink your business. And we all are ingrained. We're going to talk about the central nervous system and all that jazz tonight, or this afternoon too. All right, anybody else? Anything before we go? So I got to get some more water. I'm going to finish off my juice. Time to move on to decaf. I don't know if you know, or if you've noticed, I don't need caffeine. I just like it. All right. You're all awesome. Maria, thank you for being here. Thank you so much for being here. Listen, folks, don't be strangers. Friend me. If we aren't friends and you're in this group, friend me. I'll be your friend. Because there's plenty of other stuff I do other than launching coaching businesses. And you might be interested in that too. And I'm interested in you. And I would like to see what's going on in your life. So friend me. Brian, appreciate you, man. Looking forward to seeing your face tomorrow. Why am I still here? Literally because I'm reading your comments. I love lives. I love them because you get to interact with people immediately. That's what I love about webinars. That's what I didn't like about podcasting was I just couldn't. Thank you for those hearts. Whoever sent me those hearts, if we aren't friends, let's be friends. I love interacting. Oh, yes, Maria. Thank you. See, just like that, Maria. We are friends. Richard, see you later, brother. Looking forward to it. See you guys at 2. All right. Just got a notification. I've got my meeting with Mike in 5 minutes. Sherry, you're welcome. Phyllis, you're welcome. We just scratched the surface. This is foundational. But we're just getting started this week. And I am going to go into all the deep tactical things that everybody always wants to know. Like, what do I say to a potential client when I'm on the phone and they say, oh, I can't afford that? What do I say when they say, oh, yeah, I'd love to do this, but my husband, he'll never agree to me getting coaching? Or my wife, she holds the purse strings. What do you say? What do you do with your blog? What should your website look like? Do I need contracts? We'll go over all that stuff if you want to go over all that stuff. How do I niche down so that my messaging is on fire? No one asked that question, actually. That's a question I'll give to you. What they ask is, well, if I niche down, aren't I going to lose a lot of potential clients because I'm a life coach who can coach people through almost anything? We'll go there. All right. You're awesome. I got to roll. Thank you all so much for being here. We're rolling in 2 hours and 4 minutes, 2 p.m.